Shut up and sit down.
That's right.
Ain't no
What's
laws
the-
when you're drinking White Claws.
Okay. Alright.
You know that old saying?
Yeah, old saying. Sure.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bias Effect podcast. My name is QJ.
I'm Nikki,
This week we're talking about Imitation, which is a K-drama.
which we briefly touched on, but we finally finished it. It was your first first K-drama period, right? That you finished?
Yeah, I guess I was thinking about it later and I was like, I did watch Squid Game. Is that a K-drama?
I don't think I would classify it as that, only because, I mean, maybe some people would, but for me, when I hear K-drama, what I am picturing is the overly romantic, it's usually always the romantic ones.
I mean, I just assume it's like a dramatic show from Korea.
I think that is what yeah.
But like, if you were in Korea, they wouldn't say K-drama. They would say a drama or a comedy or a thriller.
Yeah, so for example, K-dramas encompass a wide range of genres, including romance, comedy, action, historical thriller. So yeah, I guess technically you could call it Squid Games a K-drama.
Yeah.
For me, when I think people culturally are talking about it, I think it's usually the romance ones, because they always go, oh, it's a K-drama.
Yeah.
Someone's falling into someone's arms, etc., etc.
For our purposes, it's mostly like that kind of thing. Like
the romance style, yeah. Because I've definitely watched another K-drama, quote unquote, that was just more of an action show. So sure, but I would not, in my brain, I don't go, that was a K-drama. But we're here to talk about Imitation. So, Imitation, yeah. First of all, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
As well, we're gonna be talking about in depth of Imitation. So there will be spoilers if you want to watch it. But also the trigger warning is there is talk of suicide, talk of loss, like grieving. So if anything like that is going to trigger you, then please, maybe I suggest not listening to this episode. Please take care of yourself. But now, with that being said, we will move forward to discuss Imitation. So I did some background research on Imitation. I was curious about where it came from, because a lot of shows are actually based on like webtoons. So I was actually like, oh, this one actually was based on a webtoon called Imitation, written by Park Young-ran. And that's kind of why, if you actually watch the title, it actually had like clips, like animated clips in the title. So I was like, oh, that's a reference to that. Other interesting facts, which I found like quite shocking, but it originally aired on the Korean network KBS2 from May 7th to July 23rd, 2021. It was the lowest rated show ever at 0.8%, tied with another 2020 drama called Welcome, second lowest overall ever for that studio.
Yikes.
The 6th episode was the lowest ever at 0.4%. I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that, because it wasn't like that bad to me, but it was well received with the international audience on the streaming services. Viki, which is what we used, it was at 9.5% on there, ranked most popular drama on the platform during its first 2-month run.
Interesting.
Gained some cult following with us, international people.
I guess like at the time that it came out, Ateez was really new still, so they didn't really even get like the bump of like popular Ateez at that time.
No, but as we did find out, though, there was a lot of idols, though, in this show. So
yeah, but if you really think about it, it's like they're like old idols also. So like older idols or groups that aren't even really together. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I guess I could kind of see where, like, they missed out a little bit on the, like, a draw in of fans from these, because it was, like, a little early on. Like, if they dropped AT show right now, it would pop off.
Overall, just general thoughts. I mean, I had a good time watching it. Was it the best one? No, probably not, but I found it at least interesting to see, like, inside the idol sphere, like, how maybe in theory they might do things, like, seeing them go into, like, their dorms or whatever, and like, oh, they're just always on schedule, like that's what the schedule looks like. Maybe that is how it is, maybe not.
I mean, I thought it was like, it's kind of like a lot of the times when I was watching it, I was getting like fanfic vibes.
True.
To me, it was like I'm sure maybe it's based a little bit on what you know about idol life, but it's like obviously like more idealized, as in like in a fan fiction where it's like, you know, you're not supposed to date, but it's like, but we're dating. Like, you know, we're supposed to have a cell phone. Like, we have a cell phone. We have matching cell phones or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like,
especially since it was based on a webtoon. That's probably actually a really good point because it probably was more fan based because
like this is what you want them to do, but like it's not really what they're doing.
probably wasn't, yeah, like in Idol writing it. So that's very true. So we talked about the first episode or two on one of our the K-drama episode we did. So
yeah, I think we talked to like the basic plot of it was like the first episode opens with the guy from the Shax group going missing and the one girl maybe jumping off a bridge. We don't know at the time.
in my grand statement of saying that the
I know.
CEO is killing people.
So what I will say is like, you know, I don't know, you saw the meme where it's like if someone tells you there's a plot twist in a movie, then you just spend the whole movie like, is this the plot twist? Is this the plot twist? The whole time I was watching it, I was like, is this guy that's killing people? Like I kept thinking like, especially a couple parts with Jihawk, the CEO of the Tea Party group, like he would do something once in a while, and I was like, oh my god, did he actually kill someone? Like, but by the end of it, like that wasn't the plot at all. So like at the end, I was like, no one was killing anybody. I spent half the show like, who's the killer?
I mean, I wasn't 100% wrong because there was insinuations that they pushed her over the edge on purpose.
I mean, yeah, like I kind of just assumed it was gonna go that way anyway. Yeah. Like that's kind of what it like lined up in the first episode, but you were like, no, you have no idea. And I was like, okay. I mean, I'm watching it the whole time, like it's going the way that I think it's going, but then I'm like, something's off, like something's gonna happen. And then at the end of it, I was like, no, this is literally what I thought was gonna happen. So like I guess I didn't get the full K-drama experience because I didn't get that part of it. It was like literally just a show where I thought what I thought was gonna happen happened.
I mean, to be fair, that no, this was a very good first K-drama for you. It did like work out to like it had all of the like moments, the beats that you would expect. So like it kind of was, but
I mean, like I said, there were a lot of moments where I was like, this is pure fan fiction. So I was like, obviously, like this is so good.
Yeah, exactly. So some of the other things that I had was, which I did. There's some things I didn't like. Like I didn't love they showed they kind of showed like a light side of like the crazy crazy fans in this series.
Yeah.
I didn't love that. I didn't love that because they were just like they were the reason why like they wouldn't let Ryuk like be happy or whatever. Like kind of that was like I was like
my issue with that was that like they used it as a plot device when they needed it, and then when like by the in the middle episodes, it was like, oh, we can't be seen because the Finns are like the Shax fans are called Finns, like the Finns are gonna see us or whatever. But then by the when they broke up, got back together, when they were back together, it was like they don't even exist anymore. Like we can go out in public, we're here, we're there, we're everywhere. We're not even worried about it anymore. We're not even thinking about them. We didn't even see them again after like episode 8 or something like that. So I was like,
they were at the concert.
Like in the beginning, it was such a serious thing. Well, I mean, yeah, but like you know what, like they weren't there in terms of like catching them. So I was like, I spent so much time like, oh shit, they're gonna get caught, and then for like the second half of the show, I was like, oh, we don't care about them anymore.
Yeah, I like the way I kind of.
There were a few characters like that where it's just like they kind of just like faded out, and I was like, now everyone's happy, perfect together. We don't care about that anymore.
Well, I kind of interpreted more of like they were so concerned about their own careers at the time that they weren't telling anybody about anything, and then towards the end they're like, oh, I've told my whole group, and they want me to be happy. Same with her. They told Tea Party they want her to be happy. So like even if there was backlash, that they would like work through it. That's kind of like how
I guess it just like I kind of wanted some sort of like they didn't even have a scene where it was like the fans find out.
Yeah, I know. It was
they're together. Like there wasn't even something like that where it's like, oh shit, he's together, but we want him to be happy, so we'll support it. Yeah. There was nothing like that. It was just like they don't exist anymore. Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, why did I care about them fucking catching them the whole camping out in front of the hotel room when they're like touching hands in the hotel?
I know, and that's where I'm like, and they say they're not the Sasang fans, so I'm like, you're literally insane right now. Like who does that? That stalks someone's room to make sure no one else comes there.
Yeah,
that's a crazy. I don't know. I was like, I don't like this.
That's why I was just like, it's weird at the end when they just like don't even bother wrapping that up.
And that's why I was curious when this came out. This came out in 2021, so like therefore it was still like it was fairly recent in that capacity. I'm like, so
Mm-hmm.
they're still like making this lighthearted stuff about these fans. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
like
I
that.
mean, if you really, when you pull back in that instance, I was thinking the same thing too. I was like, because I was laughing at some of the stuff, especially with like
Yeah.
Ryuk's manager interacting with those Finns fans, and he was like, yeah,
Yeah.
cover the exits, or like he was working with them basically, like cover the exits or
Yeah.
whatever. And I was like thinking like, that's kind of toxic though. Like if you're a fan of K-pop and you see that, and you're like, well, I just gotta get in with the manager then.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
exactly.
that's kind of
There's
weird.
like that side of it where I was like, I don't like what this is like saying out there. But of course, it was like you said, it was fan fiction, over the top.
Yeah,
And it
it
was
was
like,
like,
okay,
whatever.
fine.
It's fake. And there was also a point where those Finns were like, we have to block Maha.
Yeah,
Like they literally
yes.
said that, and then they never did it. They never did anything. There was nothing after that. There was some stuff before, but then when they made the point to be like, we have to block her, there was nothing after. I was like, okay.
The only thing I remember is them trying to like so to get more of the plot in. There is Ryuk. He's the main guy of Shax. He does a lot of acting on the side too. He's like the hot actor as well right now in Korea. So he's shooting this film, and then Maha gets like a secondary role on this. But then later she gets like a bigger role for whatever. They were like, okay. So there is a scene when they kiss on screen, and then everyone loves the film, right?
Yeah.
It's the best film of the year or whatever. So then there's like a competition to choose the best scene, and they will redo it live. And one of the scenes that was the option was the kissing scene between them. So then the Finns are like, no, we are blockading this. We are not doing this. And I actually don't remember the resolution of that. Did that ever go anywhere?
Yeah, there was nothing.
That
That's
was
what I'm
it?
saying.
Yeah,
There was
okay.
literally nothing. Like there's a scene of them like voting in the computer cafe or whatever.
Which again, psychotic though. I'm like, what do you guys do? Like, this is how you spend your life. You don't want to see him kiss a girl.
I
so
know,
gonna,
like I mean, for us, like it doesn't make sense to me personally. I'm not that kind of fan though, but like yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, like yeah, it was like around there, and like I think even they do the little voting thing. I think it might be right after that where they're like, we gotta block her.
Right.
And then
Nothing
you
really
never
happens.
it never comes up again. Even the voting thing doesn't really come like through context. I guess I assumed that they didn't win, but there were a few times where like Ryuk and Maha were like, "Oh, if we win, then we'll get to meet again," because they hadn't been in touch for a while. But that just went nowhere. So I just assumed that they didn't win.
Yeah.
It never came up.
True. That is true. Yeah, okay.
Like by the end of the show, that was my biggest gripe with it, was like there were a few points throughout the show where I was like, something like there's a plot line here and then it just goes nowhere. The other thing I had an issue with was the CEO of NOG. He had like his secretary guy who was like mad about his job or whatever, and he was like plotting to do something. Didn't go anywhere. Like I think it's implied that he sent the picture of that CEO and Annie to the paper, and even the CEO was like, "Oh my god, you fucked me over," whatever. But it was like such like a minor small thing, and then it's like nothing didn't go anywhere or whatever. So I was like, who is this guy? I don't even care about this guy. You're introducing a character to me that I don't give a shit about.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point too. I thought that too, because it kind of ends with that character of like yeah, he's like fucking pissed
They're
off.
like fighting behind a closed door, and then like he just never comes back again.
And then I think you're right about the insinuation with the photo, and like the photo. So the photo is of the NOG CEO, and he's like, it's basically the last photo like before Annie does eventually kill herself. So they were like, what happened between them, and there was a whole drama
like it's a photo of him and her outside of a hotel, and the implication is that she was there to sleep with him to get her way to the top, but that's not actually what was happening. But even she knew at the time, like, this is how this looks and there's no way to go about it. Plus she was with Enjo, and if he saw it, like, there's just no way to explain why they're in front of a hotel, even though that's not what it was. So like that's kind of what drove her to like kill herself.
It's so sad. That plot line is,
she didn't want to like mess his life up. I was like, stop. But anyway, yeah, like the implication is this guy set that up, but then like it just didn't go anywhere. So I was like,
yeah, so it kind of just ends with like them be like, oh, I'm so angry, and then it like ends, the whole show ends with this like whatever concert of like, but yeah, so I'm like, okay, so everything just wraps up and he's just like chilling.
Yeah.
So you're right.
That was
like,
the other thing too, like about the CEO of NOG specifically. At the end of the show, he's just working with another group. So I'm like, no repercussions for this guy. He's fine.
No,
we don't care about him. I mean, he lost his biggest group, because I think the implication is that Shax They don't sign their contracts. They sign with Jihook's group or with his company.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So I was like, he lost his biggest group, but like he's still a millionaire.
Still a menace to
Like,
society.
so who cares? Like, so anyway, yeah, like there was like some things like that I was like, well, I don't know why I invested so much in that part of the story. But overall, like the main plot of the story was Ryuk and Maha's like story and relationship and their love together. And that was fleshed out and fine.
Yeah, it was fine. Yeah, like again, it had a classic trope of they knew each other as kids, quote unquote, like young.
Yeah, they had met like I think Ryuk was in like a dance group and she wanted to join his dance group, so he like taught her a little bit. Actually, there was one part of that where he leaves that dance group to join Shax's and he doesn't say goodbye to anybody, but she never brings that up. Like they reference that a bunch of times where he just like left the group and joined Shax's. She never brings it up to him. She's never like, "Hey, remember when we were like friends before and you just like pieced out and never spoke to anybody again?" Never comes up.
Like I feel like I kind of vaguely remember her briefly talking about that though, or maybe
she talks about the group and like I think she asked for his autograph on the old picture at one point, but she's never like at any point like it was kind of weird that you just like pieced out and didn't say anything to anybody. Like that's weird, right?
I mean, there was a lot, like, how they shot the film, or the show, it was, like, a lot of, like, flashbacks, so maybe it was just, like, a flashback, because I remember at one point they are together, and then they break up, and then they get back together. Okay, yeah. Classic. But I thought in some part of that she was like, well, he left before once, so, like, I'm not surprised. So I thought there was
Well, yeah, I think she does, like, kind of say something like that, but I just mean, like, to him. Like, I don't know, if you're, like, especially when they get back together, and he's like, no, we should really be together, shouldn't she have been like, this is the second time you've just disappeared like this? Like... Hello?
I mean, yeah. But maybe...
But she's just like, yeah, I mean, let's do it. Let's be together.
I mean, wouldn't you, for Ryuk?
I mean, honestly, literally the first time I would have been like, weird that you just disappeared last time, but I guess we'll just move past that. There's no way I wouldn't say something. But that's just
Yeah,
me.
but to be fair, yeah, or like, that's a kind of a big plot point later on that's how they met. They met when she was like 14, by the way, and he's like, what?
I mean, I don't even know how old they're supposed to be in that show.
Well, first of all, the other thing I take issue with the show, the actress, Jung Ji-so, she was in Parasite, actually, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. She
was very young when this filmed. She was born in 1999, so I think she was like 20, like when it was filmed. They made her look so young. It was uncomfortable sometimes for me. Like, yeah. Even just, like, the way they styled her, I was like, why are you dressing her like she looks like she was dressing like how I dressed in high school? And I'm like, yeah. I felt uncomfortable with that kind of part of her. But yes, so they met when they were teenagers, whatever. He leaves to have Shax's. She wanted to become an idol too. That's why she joined this. She liked dancing. They danced together. Then she is in another company, and she eventually... was like,
yeah, I think it was called Music something. It was some kind of like generic company where they all like all of them were there, like even Yunho's character and the other like sparkling guys were there, and then they all kind of get like sold to other companies or traded. Like I wasn't really sure about that part. It was kind of like gross to me, but basically like after Annie died, they were like, oh, let's trade Maha over to this other company in this group. And I was like, well, she's not like a fucking Pokemon card.
But it's like, yeah, it's like all contract based, right? So they're like, here, we'll sign this contract off to this. So, but at first, she's in the same company, like you said, with Yuno's crew and all the Ateez boys. Yeah. And they were all trainees together, but because of Annie, they pull her over, and she wanted to take the opportunity because they were actually debuting. So she was like, oh, nah, I gotta leave. Even though it was a smaller company. Yeah,
like it was like to fill in for
they
debut.
Were going up for debuts, so...
But then they found Annie's body in the river, and debut was canceled. How insane is that also? Like, I thought it was it was so uncomfortable to me. Obviously, like, the plot itself was uncomfortable, but the fact that, like, she was brought in to cover Annie, and, like, the other two girls are obviously devastated because Annie's body's been found, and she's crying because she can't debut.
I know.
And because, like, I think she was also, like, sad because her friends were sad. Like, it wasn't, like, that awkward, but in my mind, I was like, it's not really about you right now. Like,
Yeah, the plot point did make it seem like she was really upset that she couldn't debut, which fine. Yeah, like you say, she can have her own things, but
But
in
like
the
the other
moment,
two, their fucking friend's body was just found.
yeah,
Like, bro, come
like
on.
Hyunji, she's like the visual of the group. She
Yeah.
like literally collapses on stage almost because she's like so sad. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my god.
I was like, this is like such an awkward. Like, how would you even? When that happened, I was like, how would I even respond to that? I'd be like, I gotta
I
go.
don't know.
I'm just gonna leave.
I
This is not for me.
Exactly. So they're literally on the stage of their debut, and then they like yank them right off right before they're about to start, and because they can't have the PR of them being debuting. And then at this point, I can't recall if this is when Sparkling debuted too. The other
No,
group,
Sparkling is like I think the whole thing, the whole plot for Sparkling was like it took them a long time to like get out there. Like they had a debut, but it didn't really like pop off.
Oh yeah.
And then they were like struggling to get like a hit going. So I don't think they debuted at that time. I think it was after. But even when they debuted, they didn't like hit or whatever. Which is why like the one Sparkling guy was so bitter because he was supposed to be in Shax apparently.
Yeah, that's right.
I love hated that guy.
I know he comes
every time I showed him, he was so catty and such a bitch, but I was like kind of there for it.
Yeah, he obviously was in it. He comes around too, which was a nice plot point for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the other group from the original company is Sparkling, which is we have Yunho, we have Seonghwa, we have San, and then we have the guy you were just talking about, who is his character is Hyunho in the show, but his real name is Suwong Lee. And he is from a band called Boys Republic. He's the backnight of that group. Sparkly was they were all actual idols.
Oh, yeah. I listened to them. I listened to Boys Republic. They have a couple albums, and I think I remember thinking that it was all right. Like I could listen to that.
They're on indefinite hiatus, so.
Yeah, I mean, retroactively I could listen. Like it wasn't like some of the K-pop that I listened to from the idols in the show was boring. Like straight up, but the Boys Republic was like pretty decent, I remember.
But they were all part of an actual thing I thought was cool. When I was doing my research,
apparently he's friends with Jungkook.
When I was doing my research, apparently he's close friends with Jungkook.
I feel like every time I see a group, there's always one person from the group that's like best friends with Jungkook. Like there's always someone. Like everyone's friends with him apparently.
He's a great guy. So and he's done some acting before, that guy, but he was like you said, he
was like extremely bitter in the show, and like he obviously knew that Yunho's character was like into Maha's character, and that Yunho was like breaking rules to like be there for her and stuff, and he was always being like a real bitch about it. And then he was also dating, and he was being a real bitch about that.
Yeah, he had his own side
and then
chick.
anytime Shax had any like good thing happening to them, bitch about it. I like kind of loved him though. Like anytime he did something, I was like, what a fucking asshole. Like
his whole thing was he was bitter. He was like not happy with Sparkling, and then Yuno's character, again, in love with Maha, and he was like, the only way he thought she would notice him is if he became like the star, like Ryuk. So he really pumps up his game in Sparkly, and they make him center, and which means that he's no longer center, and he gets really pissed about that. So he hates Yunho.
I think it's revealed later that like he was like kind of in contention to be in Shax, and then they discovered Ryuk and brought Ryuk in instead. So it kind of like destroyed his chances at being in Shax, and Shax was obviously huge. So he was like really pissed about that, and then he's getting taken off center and whatever.
And then all the dating stuff,
but it all kind of like boils down to a point where basically he's about to get kicked out. Like his company's like, we cannot have your drama anymore, okay? Because he gets in a fight with Ryuk because he's dumping that girl, and Ryuk has already dumped Maha, but he's like really sad about it, and, like doesn't want to be broken up with her. And then here's this guy being like, and he's like being a real bitch about it. He's just like forget my number, bitch. Like, stop talking to me. I don't even know who you are. And then Ryuk's like, you're a piece of shit. And they get into like a fist fight, but everyone thinks that they're fist fighting over the girl. But his company's like, we know you were dating her. Like, we know you're being a fucking crazy person out here. And like, we're not having this drama. Then he goes drinking at a club, fights those guys. And then they're like, we're not doing this. So he's like about to get kicked out, and he's like, his whole dreams comes crashing down. And then I think there's a scene with him and Ryuk where Ryuk is like, listen, it's not about Shax, it's not about Sparkling, it's about the fucking hard work you put in. to be out here doing what you love to do. And he like has a moment of like come to Jesus moment. And then his group, Angels, are like, we are not gonna do sparkling without you, even though you're a real fucking piece of shit. They're like, we're not doing it without you. And they take it to the company and they're like, one more chance, give us one more chance. So he has like a comeback little thing there, and I was like, I really liked his arc. I was like,
I did. I appreciate it, especially like you say, like he had beef with Yunho, and like Yunho was also going through his whole. We'll get into Yunho, but like he was going through his whole thing, so they were like always at each other's throats or whatever. So, but the fact that led that discussion, being like, no.
Yeah, I know. He was like front and center, being like, we're doing this as a team. Period.
I was like, oh my god, of course.
I know. Angels.
And then and then just to wrap up Sparkling a bit, first of all, their song was actually fire. I would listen to that song. Diamond, I like that song.
When I listened to it cold, I didn't really like it that much, but even as I was listening to it, I was like, I bet through the show it's gonna really like, come through. And like as the show was going on, I was like, yeah, it's a good song.
And I think all these songs were actually released too. I think if you hear like Shaq's has songs.
The Sparkling song Diamond was a #1 on like a weekly variety show around that time. It like hit a #1 spot on some like weekly show, and it was like the first fake group or whatever to like hit #1.
I believe
so it definitely was released, and like it was like well received, at least for that week or whatever. But I just wanted to say, like, loved San and Seonghwa.
Okay, yeah, actually,
absolutely loved them. Like there were some moments where like I just couldn't help like giggling at like how like sincere they were being, but like loved them. Especially San. For some reason, San was like so good in the show. I was like, I love San in the show right now.
They tried. I'll put it that way for my opinion.
I mean, yeah, like I'm not saying they were like amazing. Like I said, I was like kind of giggling at it sometimes, but like at the end of the day, I was like, love it.
Yeah, I mean, they put it. There's a moment, I forget where I wrote it, but there's a moment, I think they're doing like one of the variety show stuff, and I died. Oh yeah, I wrote here, episode 10. San is so funny to me because there's a part where it's clearly like B-roll, like they're cutting and they're just like clapping, and it's just like San was just like, it was like the funniest thing to me because it was like so clearly unnaturally clapping at this moment. I'm just like, bro, like, okay, but hey, sure.
I just liked like anytime the one guy was being like an asshole, they would always be like, bro, chill, like calm down, bro.
I know they were.
And I was like, oh my god.
They were the best when they were doing scenes, the three of them together. Yeah. I found like San.
I just thought like I wondered like what that was like though, because like
yeah,
I don't know, like if I had to act with you and you were like, listen, this is a really serious moment and we need to fucking chill out. I would just laugh. I would laugh so hard. Like I don't understand how three of them, like best buddies, did all that acting together.
Well, and again, the biggest surprise to me overall, like we'll get to Shaq's, but was Jungho. I was really surprised.
Oh, yeah.
He really killed the show.
Loved him. Loved him and Yuri. Those two together.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll
dream
get to
team.
Shaq's.
Those were a dream team.
And I really liked Yunho. Like, Yunho was fine. Like, he was great. Like he seemed like he was being himself, honestly. So, like...
Yeah, there was some definitely moments where I was like, it's okay. But I think it's just because we know, like, we see him through Ateez stuff, where I was like, this is not believable to me that you would be acting this way. That was the other thing I was going to say, too. Like, how when we first talked about the first episode, and you were like, there's going to be some fucking twists here. We also talked a little bit how people were saying that he was like a villain in the show. So like the whole time I'm like waiting for this villain arc to come through, and like as he was being kind of shitty, like when he was in love with Mahan, he was kind of using Hyunji to like, I don't know, keep tabs on Maha, but like he just like wasn't recognizing that she also liked him. I was like, he's kind of being an asshole, but like a villain?
No, I didn't see it either. I because I just read that somewhere online, and
I think I had seen that too, and I was like, I mean, he's kind of a dickhead, but
I agree. I didn't see any of that in this. Yeah, so the other side of the sparkling stuff was was really into Maha, and he was trying to get her attention. He was trying to, but I called that in the first episode, that love triangle. I knew that was happening. I knew that right away. But basically he loves her. Maha never really liked him that way.
Yeah, he's just like her friend.
I was so pissed at her though. There is an episode where she's like, "You're my everything" or something like that, like offhand. Like, who says that to anybody?
Yeah, some of that stuff I think is like a translation thing. Like, I feel like the way that they say things sometimes is like so serious, but it's really just being like, "You're my best friend," but it comes across like you're my everything in this life, and it's like, okay, well,
The only
that's
reason
different.
I think it was the translation was maybe kind of the same is he repeats that after she hangs up.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh my god, I'm in her everything." I was like, okay, but I was pissed.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of it because like you don't really have a lot of like people you can trust in that space, right? Besides the two of them are like, from her point of view, they're besties, and like she can trust him with anything. So like, I could kind of see both sides, but it is a weird thing to say. Like, I wouldn't say that to another guy.
My notes are wrote, Maha is so dumb. How could she not see I hate her? It was more that, like, how could she not see this guy, like panicking about her, where she is, like, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I just pick up on this, but that was the only thing, but sure, I get it. She has her own shit going on. She's
like, kind of ditzy, I think, and even, like, she was even the same way with Ryuk, like, for a time. It was clear that he was, like, fumbling around her, and she was just like, hey, what's up, like, my senior, how's it going? And he's like,
True.
blushing or whatever, like, and like when he's like texting her and he's like, why isn't she answering, where are you, what are you doing,
so
where are you
funny.
going, and she's just like, what's up with this guy, like, he's fucking crazy. Like, I think she's just kind of like, yeah, I think that was just kind of like her character, but like, I mean,
yeah.
I see what you're saying too, like, it is like, I mean,
let's be fair, I'm biased. I'm truly, I was blind in this, because I was like, I would obviously fall in love with him immediately. I was like, there's no way I wouldn't.
I don't know,
choose
man.
him.
If I also had Ryuk's attention,
that
would be a hard choice. It's such a hard choice.
It is tough, especially like the way they build it up, the way he just comes into her, whatever he.
Oh, whoa! I think I missed that scene.
The way he always comes about into her life whenever she like thinking about him, like, don't we all have those dreams? And it's like a guy that looks like him. You're like,
and like, he's so popular, so famous, so like attractive or whatever.
He loves me. But yeah, so the other side of the Yunho storyline is
he's in love with Maha. Maha's not in love with him, but he meets the Tea Party girls, and Hyunji kind of falls for him, and he doesn't see that. I thought, honestly, one of the cutest lines in that whole show is when Yunho is like, the way I used to look at you, I realized someone else is looking at me that way. And I was like, bro. When he said that to Maha, because he had like told, like, he fully like came clean with Maha or whatever, and he was like, she's looking at me the way I used to look at you. I was like, oh.
That's where I kind of turned around on Maha, and I was like, okay, fine, because they held on to that too. They didn't reveal that he told her how he felt until later, because like it happened, but then we didn't see it because there's a whole subplot of Hyunji being mad at Maha because she's jealous because she's getting all the attention from which fine, yeah. And then I really did love that one scene with her when it was like I forget, something came out about the band and it was a really shitty day.
Oh, I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah, they're gonna get sued for a double contract because of Omega 3 and Tea Party.
Yeah, and like he calls her, she's like, oh my god, someone's actually like calling to like check in on me, and he's like, how's Maha? She's like, can you fuck off? Basically, I was like, yes, girl. She's like, I just want someone to check in with me. Hangs up, and then that's when he's like, oh
yeah, he's like, oh shit.
Oh shit, I got another baddie on my okay.
I also, like, no offense to Maha or whatever, but if I was Yunho and I had Maha and Hyunji, I would have went Hyunji.
She's pretty.
But she was really sweet. I thought she was like so
she's really sweet. Yes.
Like, even with the Tea Party girls, she's like very like, I don't know, she's very sweet to them and to everybody. And I was like, well, I would definitely choose her.
True, yes. Yeah, she was very kind. And, like, so, in the plot of the show, too, again, wants to, like, become the best, so he starts taking modeling gigs. He starts taking all
acting.
These other things. And Hyunji also starts doing modeling, so that's where they kind of first meet one-on-one, is at this modeling gig, and that's where she falls in love with him for the first time, basically. Anyway, they do end up together. He comes around, like you said, that very cute scene. He's like, I had no idea, but, like, I really want to, like, try. I was like, ah!
Yeah,
So
I
cute.
thought it was sweet too that Maha, like, she taught, obviously her and Hanji, like,
Oh,
hash it out, and then she's like, I can't remember what's his character name again? I can't even remember.
Eugen, I think.
Eugen,
Eugene.
yeah. She was like, Eugen is like an amazing guy, so you
Oh,
should go
I
for
know that was a very sweet scene
it.
too.
And I was like, yes, especially after they knew that she was like kind of with Ryuk, and they were like, bitch, you gotta stop this. But she
Yeah.
immediately was like, no, he's a good guy, you gotta go for it.
Yeah, and I feel like the only thing with Hyunjin's character too that I was like,
QG.
Hyunjin, yeah, I was like, not Hyunjin, is that she was being quite like aggressive. I felt to Maha, passive aggressive, of like just like because she was upset, and I'm like, what? So you deserve a relationship, but she doesn't. Maha doesn't deserve her relationship. I felt like,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
again, like you
yeah.
said, there's the hash out scene, and I liked that because Maha was like, yeah, I wasn't being considerate. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you all this information. And then she also admits, like, yeah, I was being extra too.
Yeah.
So
I also think there's like a difference too, like if you're gonna get with a guy from the biggest band, that's
sure,
definitely gonna
yeah,
have more backlash than getting with a guy that's like mid-tier
sparkling,
band. So like I think
yeah,
there's a bit of a difference, but no, for sure. I think it all came together nicely at the with everybody.
yeah. And then okay, so then we'll talk a bit about Shax. So Shax is Ryuk is like the face of the group, I would say. He's not the leader, but he's like
Yeah. I couldn't really clock some of the titles of them sometimes. I don't know who's
so
who really.
yeah, okay. So I looked them all up again. So we had the leader was actually the only actor in the group. Everyone else was some kind of idol or
Yeah.
some kind of capacity. His character is Jae Woo. Yeah, he's just a straight up actor, the real guy. But he was the leader of the group, and he was, I mean,
He went through it, honestly.
yeah, I kind of liked his arc too.
Yeah,
But
I liked it too.
basically, he like the CEO of Nog was always like coming to him, and be like, "Tell me everything about the group." And he was
Yeah,
like,
give me
he
all the
was like,
scoop.
he thought. And he thought it was the right thing to do because he wanted the group to succeed. So he was telling them shit. He was the one that ended up telling them that Yunjo was dating.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Yunjo was another band member, and he was secretly dating Annie, the other girl from Tea Party, who killed herself.
Yeah, and he like disappeared on a night of their concert, which coincided with the day that Annie killed herself, which you find out later he left because he got a voicemail from her.
Okay, that's so, yeah, it's so sad. But yeah, there's this whole arc throughout the whole show where you don't know where Yunjo's go, why he's left, any of that. And then finally at the end, yeah, you find out that
He left because he got like a disturbing voicemail from her. Obviously, he found out that she died, and then he like spiraled, and then he just like fully left the country.
and then, yeah, so basically the voice memo she left him was saying that.
Yeah, I think she didn't like fully come out and say anything about the picture or whatever, but she was
No,
just kind
but
of like she knew that if it came out, it would be bad for him, so she was like apologizing to him.
right before, yeah, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh wow, you did not need to do that." Basically, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you did
So
not
that
need to
he's
do
gone
that.
from the whole show, pretty much. This guy is one of the guys that's actually in SF9, so he was the Mac9 of that group, and he also was acting for a while. He's been acting. He was a child actor too. But anyway, his character not really in it. He comes back later in the series. But okay, then the other member who we both love is Dojin. He's played by Yuri Park. This guy's actually very fascinating to me. He was his legal name is Yuri Albertovich Pak because he was actually born in Russia.
Yeah.
No, sorry, no. He's born in Uzbekistan to a Korean father and a Korean Russian mother. So he's actually a quarter Russian. So he did conscripted service, but in Russia.
Oh.
And he became a naturalized South Korean citizen in 2019. And he renounced his Russian citizenship and legally changed his name to Park Yuri. He also, again, like most of the idols that were in this group, all participate in some kind of elimination show. It's like, seems to be a big thing. He also, yeah, so this was kind of his first acting debut, but he was also randomly in Sam Smith's and Kim Petras' music video on Holy. I was like, oh. And I literally watched, he's like literally just in like 2 seconds of a scene, he's just standing there gorgeously crying. Very interesting dude. He's mostly like a model too. Like he has done work, which I think you've listened to.
Yeah, he's in like a duo called JXR. I listened to it. It's literally 4 songs, one
Oh.
EP and one single. The EP has 3 songs on it. It's all EDM, no singing
Oh.
whatsoever,
Oh.
like just
Okay.
beats. And then the single was like a K-pop song. I actually kind of liked it. Like I think I added it to the playlist. But I was like, that's literally it. 4 songs, 3 of them. There's no like I this is where I was starting to think like, what is K-pop? Because is this K-pop? It doesn't really seem like K-pop.
Right. Okay, in the show, we both loved
I
him.
absolutely loved him.
Loved him. He was like kind of the team, like kind of like just like a ride or die for Ryuk. Same with our boy Jungho. He
Yeah.
was he was the actual Magna of this group too, and he kind of just plays himself. I feel too, but he was so good. He was so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically at some point, Doshin and Hyuk was Jungho's name, find out that Ryuk likes somebody. They don't, so they always plot together to try to get him out to like go see her. So that was a whole.
I started like referring to them as the matchmakers whenever I was watching it. I was like, oh, the matchmakers are back because like yeah, like Ryuk goes through like a thing where he's trying to figure out who he can talk to. And then he starts talking to them, but he's like talking to them like in code, and he's like, "I know someone named A who likes someone named B," and they're like, "It's obviously you." And then they figure out later that the B is Maha, and then they start like plotting to like try to get them to meet up. And like later in the show, when even his manager's kind of on board, the 3 of them like work together to like help them like meet up and stuff. I was like, they're like they're like the matchmakers. I loved
so
them.
good. Yeah, so like they're like, yeah, those 3 are like the whole plot like for them. Now there's also a side plot with a character named Lee Hung that's in the group. He is his real name, or his real stage name is Hui Young, and he's also in SF9. Kind of comes off cold in the show, but then he's like the producer of the group, and he eventually meets Leah from Tea Party, and they fall in love. That's their.
Yeah, when it was like showing stuff, like she was like kind of starting to learn how to produce and stuff, and he was there, and I was like, as if like everyone from Tea Party is gonna fall in love with everyone from Shags. I was like, well, this is so unrealistic. But like, I did appreciate that their plot wasn't like too much. Like it was very like subtle and like small like little meetings here and there, and like she does kiss him on the cheek at one point, but it was like very like small stuff. It wasn't like the main focus. So I did appreciate that part of it, and I was like, okay, this is fine.
And for the record, Hyunji doesn't end up with someone from Shax. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Sparkling.
But it was just like when that happened, I was like, come on.
I know, it's like all 3 of them.
Because she spends the whole time being like, do not get involved with Shax. And I'm like, oh, what are you talking about?
And he's always like, I'm not Shax, I'm a person. You're like,
yeah,
okay.
He's like, I'm just me. You can just get involved with me.
And like, do you see him? Like, girl, come on, go ahead.
Yeah, I was like what are you even talking
very
about?
Very handsome, sweet guy, always trying to get your attention. Like, chill, like, just go. Anyway, that's Shax though. Like, that's kind of.
I would say like the Injo plot was devastating, basically. Like just to kind of as like I guess a wrap up, because that's how the show ends, right? Like eventually he sort of starts to come back, and through like flashbacks and stuff you also see, I thought was like really interesting, and why I was like waiting for some sort of Jihawk like reveals, because he's like part of everything. Like he was part of why La Rima is a solo artist, who we didn't even really talk about, but he's the one who told her to be a solo artist. He's the one who like encouraged the Shax members to do this. He's always like there. And like when Annie died and Injo was like spiraling and like drinking and stuff, he's the one that found him, and he was like, what do you need to do to be happy? Like think about what, I can't remember the exact line, but he says something to him that Yunjo eventually says to him back to him later, like, what do you want to do with your life or whatever? And he's like, Annie would not want you to do this. So Enjo like leaves Korea for a bit, but then he comes back and he kind of like talks to Jihawk again, and he's like, what do you want to do with your life? Which is I think why Jihawk ends up getting the Omega Girls back and rebranding as Tea Party. But he's also like really like loose about being CEO. Like he's not like strict with them. He's like, and even when she was like kind of dating Ryuk, he's like, I'm not gonna tell you no. I'm not gonna encourage you, but I'm not gonna say no. Like do what you want to do. And like anytime they get like a schedule or whatever, he's like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
And like he gives them a salary, which is like crazy or whatever. But anyway, like Enjo basically like starts that for him, and then like he slowly starts like making his way back. They eventually figure out that they have each other's phones, because like the whole time you know that Maha has Annie's phone and Ryuk has Enjo's old phone, and then they try to like hack them, and then when they get in, it's like devastating voicemails on there. The voicemail from Annie, but then there's also a voicemail from Enjo to her where he sings her like this really nice song, which they decide like after everything is revealed, they realize what he went through and what she went through and how they also like destroyed their lives. Like Ryuk, I think, goes through a thing where because he also was like, you gotta dump this bitch, and like it's Shaq's it's Shaq's or nothing to like Enjo, and like he realizes now like I should never have said that.
Yeah.
And their leaders like I never should have said those things because look what happened.
Yeah.
So they find this song and then they decide like let's finish the song together and release it.
But yeah, and then there's a sub scene, yeah, where like, yeah, I think Ryuk finally finds Yunjo back in Korea, and he's like, oh my god, bro, like, yeah.
Yeah, I think they eventually meet up and they like talk about everything.
Yeah, like, I can't believe I did this. I'm so sorry, but like that song, like, we really want to use it. And he's like,
he says it's not my song anymore.
It's not my song anymore. We're like,
Oh
okay,
my
like, not gross, but like, oh my god, I'm dead. And he's like, not my song anymore. Okay, cool. So Ryuk's like, okay, sure, we'll take it, we'll do it. And then Leah and the other guy that she's with, they start producing the song. So it's like this whole thing. Anyway, comes at the end where, yeah, it's a final concert of like,
I think they're at like I think like it's the equivalent of the Mama Awards, like what what real life is like, but it's like the fake version of it. It's like this big awards show where everybody's doing their little performances,
and then at the end
they do like a collaborative performance with all the groups.
And it's this beautiful song committed, and then at the end they show like a bunch of videos of everyone in their debut era, and then Annie is there, but then at the very end when they're performing the song, the stage comes up, and I think they cut it a certain way where you think Maha and Ryuk are gonna like kiss on stage, and everyone's freaking out because the cuts to the crowd, like, oh my god.
I thought it was gonna be like the reveal of their relationship.
Exactly, same. And then it cuts to the crowd, and everyone's like, oh my god, and it cuts back to stage. Yunjo is coming up from the stage.
The way I screamed, like actually out loud, was like,
same. I was like, oh my, I truly wasn't expecting that. I wasn't, because of that whole scene again, he's like, it's not my song.
But it shows like a car coming and it shows like someone walking. I thought he was gonna be watching. Like I was like, it's gonna be a reveal where he's watching the song, and like when it showed Annie on the screen talking about like pre-debut, like whatever, I thought it was just gonna show him being like, way to go, girl, like we did it. Yeah. No, he comes out of the floor and sings. First time that anyone's ever seen him since he disappeared from the other performance. Honestly, the way that I actually screamed out loud, I was like, what is happening?
Because I think there's a whole other side conversation where Maha tries to also get him to come back. He's like, we really want you to be a part of this if you want to be, and he's like, no, I'm good, basically. So he denies it twice.
I think she sees him at the grave, at Annie's grave.
Yes,
or something.
And so twice he denies it. So I was like, there's no way. He can't. And then best moment. I was like, that is a crazy reveal. That was beautiful.
It was like a beautiful, beautiful moment. And like already at that point, like anytime they listened to the voicemail and like as it was revealing Enjo and Annie's story, I was like crying like so much.
Oh,
and then when he came out of the stage, I was like screaming, and then I was like crying again because I was like, my God, he's there, he's singing the song for her.
No, it was too much. It was too much. I mean, I know. I feel like we haven't even like touched on Ryuk and Maha's storyline, but I mean, it was the most conventional storyline.
That's where a lot of the fan fiction was, like parts where he like pulled her in the room and then was like holding her, cradling her head, like what the hell. And then when they were in the prof room and he's pulling her out of the way, they fall on the couch together. I was like, come on, nobody, this is not real.
Yeah, that's
and the way that he acted, so Sunder, like texting her being like, what's going on, where are you, why is she answering me? And then when she was acting and she called the guy Oppa in the show, he's like, don't call me Oppa. It's like, oh my God, stop. And then he like freaks out.
She gets another acting role, and she's she has an on-screen kiss with this other actor, but Dojin is in this scene as well. Like, he actually...
Yeah, he's supposed to be, like, seeing them kiss or something?
Yeah, she's supposed to be seeing her kiss because he actually likes her
Yeah.
in this plot of that
show, in the show.
And Ryuk's on set because he obviously loves Maha, but he's like, oh, I'm just being their mentor for Dojin or whatever. And when the scene cuts, it's so funny. He, like, beelines it for Dojin
I
off the
know,
corner.
he's like, freaks out, runs across.
You're supposed to be freaking out.
He's like, how can you act like this?
Like,
she's kissing someone
Yeah,
else.
it was so funny. You're like, bro, you're taking this too real. But no, it was funny. A lot of they were the very classic K-drama arc of, like, that whole, like, ooh, he's so jealous, but, like, oh, they love me, but they want to talk.
It also really made me laugh when he was acting in his, like, action show, and she went to see him, and he's driving the car, and, like, he sees her up there, and then he, like, gets in a car accident. Car, like, is going, like, 5 miles an hour, flips over, and he's, like, knocked out, blood everywhere. Everyone's like, oh my god, wake up, wake up. I'm like, bro, it's not that serious.
Yeah, so that is, again, another classic K-drama fanfic trope of...
you could totally see that coming too. Like, as soon as she was there, he's driving, and I was like, oh my god, this guy's gonna crash so hard.
Especially when they're like, coming from a film background, there is absolutely no way that would ever happen where he would actually drive the car in a stunt scenario.
Well, like, later they were like, why'd you let him do that? And they're like, well, it was a small stunt, like, it was no big deal. And I was like, okay.
Like, sure, maybe. But anyway, taking that away. But yeah, as soon as that started happening, and Yunho was on scene. Oh yeah, Yunho was also in this...
in that action movie. Then he sees how devastated Maha is, and he's like, oh, she actually really likes him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm being stupid, I'm being crazy.
That was the scene, yeah. So, yes, that's also a classic arc where one of the characters gets really severely hurt, and then, yeah, that's actually what makes her confess to him the first time that she likes him, so...
Just, like, laughing so hard. I'm like, hey, you're not dead. Like, relax.
I know. So that's, I mean, overall, it was fun. It was fine.
Yeah, I thought it was a good show. Like, I honestly really liked it. I thought, like, I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I feel like that's, about right. And like you said, it really touches those, like, fanfic moments. You're like, I'm living.
Yeah, I think especially because it was about K-pop, and, like, we're really into K-pop right now. I was like, this is real, like, fanfiction juice.
And it was
right now.
real hard for me in the beginning with the Yunho arc, because I was like, this guy's so fucking sweet, and I'm like, I only wish, so it was, like, crazy to see him in that. And yeah, it was really fun, like you said, to watch our other Ateez boys, like, going at it, and it was that part was fun. And they also, there's a dance practice once they're literally dancing to an Ateez song, and I was like, oh.
Anyway, definitely would recommend. Yeah. And, like, I feel like we did talk a lot about spoilers, but we didn't talk about a lot of the show, so there's still a lot of stuff you could watch and be surprised.
For sure. We didn't even, we barely scratched on the G-Hawk surface.
I know. He was, like, one of my favorite characters, and we barely even talked about him.
Me too. It just, quick interesting fact about him, too, was that he was actually an idol back in the day.
Oh, yeah, he's like a rapper or something?
Yeah, he was a rapper. And it's so funny. And then, we didn't even touch on La Rima, and I actually really liked her arc. I
enjoyed her arc, too. Like, in the beginning, I definitely was like, fuck this bitch.
Yeah, but she comes around so good.
By the end, you're like, she's actually, like, really, really good person.
Yeah, she's awesome. So, yeah, there's her whole arc. And I grabbed this for you. She early in her career, she was, like, more interested in modeling. So when she was 15, she did several pictorials and advertisements for a clothing company with Korean boy band SHINee.
Oh.
So? But then she started acting also in 2007, and then she debuted with a group called Terra. So she was really cool. Loved her character. Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, she has a cool arc as well, but didn't really get there.
You have to watch it for yourself.
It's worth it. It's fun.
Well, I mean, I think that the next show that we would like to watch is Goblin. So if you're interested in Goblin and you want to hear our takes on that, maybe in the coming months.
Yeah, get started on Goblin, y'all, because, my god, I have a lot of things to say about that show as well, but we'll get there. It'll be in the future episode.
Future ep. Thanks for joining us.
On the episode of Imitation. We'll catch you on the flip.